privilege to be here. Now, you are the founder of
Where Men Hurt.
Where Men Hurt. All right, so y'all know it's Ruffle Some Feathers Friday, right? And yeah, you came on Ruffle Some Feathers Friday.
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
I think so, because with this subject alone, it ruffles feathers, because a lot of people have this perception that men don't hurt.
Right.
Or that men aren't allowed to show their emotions. They're not allowed to show their hurt.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we all ruffle the feathers with that. We're gonna peel back the band-aid just a little bit.
Sounds good.
All right, so give us a little bit of a background on you, first of all.
So I'm from a little small town east of here called Raywood, Texas.
Wait, say that again?
Raywood, Texas.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, most people haven't. It's a little small town, probably about 500 people.
Okay.
250 of us a family. Other 250 got lost and just stayed there.
Okay.
So one of them type places.
Okay, so real small. So I was telling you earlier I'm from Victoria, so
Right.
you know small town.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Small is where it's at.
All right, and how long have you actually been in Houston?
I've been in Houston since probably '94. So,
Okay. Oh, yeah.
so I've been there for a while. So, I mean, it's just 50 minutes up the street, so it's not that far.
Okay.
So it's all the same.
It's all the same thing.
Right.
So you're from this area.
I'm from this area.
All right, all right. So Where Men Hurt. How did that come about?
Well, about 2 years ago, God gave me an inspiration to write a book, and He was talking to me, and he kept saying. The scripture from Revelation chapter 12 verse 11, they overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. And so I didn't really know what he was talking about. It was just in my prayer time. And then about 6 months later, he gave me the title, Overcoming the Addiction That No One Has. And so it spoke directly to my area where I was at. And so then I wrote the book. The book is topically about sex addiction, but the story of it is hope and redemption, how God can bring you out of any situation.
Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit deeper now. We're just going to jump right in. For you to be able to write about this, it has to be some personal stories behind it.
Absolutely.
It's a testimony.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
You're ready.
All right, okay. All right. So you're just sitting around one day, I'm like, okay, God, thank you for giving me this. Now what do I do with it? I'm just going to make it a book?
Right. So because by nature, writing is not, most writers like to write. So I'm really not that person. So I don't like to read. I'm the guy that, probably did some plagiarism on his research paper type guy.
That one.
In high school, right? Barely passed. But he gave it to me, and I know it was him because because it's not really my style. And so when I was a young boy, when I was 3 years old, I was sexually molested by a lady that was close to the family.
Okay.
And so that went on for about 3 years. And then from about 6 to about 16, it happened again. But this time it was with a male that was close to the family. And so I dealt with that for about 10 years. And then I kind of realized that I really enjoyed the thing with the women better, right? So, I had some experience, if you can call it, that some of the other high school kids didn't have. So it kind of made me popular with the girls.
Okay.
And so it caused me to have this this addictive, destructive behavior towards sex.
Okay.
And so we ended up getting married right out of high school to my daughter's mom. She got pregnant. We got married. That do the right thing type thing.
Okay.
So we were married for four and a half years, and I cheated the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got divorced, and then I married my son's mom. I have 2 boys also, and I cheated the whole time in that too.
Okay.
Then about 2006, I ran into a situation where the hurricane came through. Me and my wife at the time, we went to Kansas to kind of escape the hurricane. And my uncle, we stayed at his house, and he's a high-ranking official in the Army. And so he asked me a question that kind of changed my life. He said, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm making money, got these houses, got these cars, balling out of control.
Yeah.
Because I thought that's what he was asking me, because, he got the money and all that. And no, he grabbed my arm and he walked me into the living room and he said, well, what are you doing about your salvation? And I was like, well, I ain't about to be going to no church and all that, because I wasn't raised in church, right? And so I was like, he's like, no. He's like, everything that you do from this point on will directly affect those kids in there.
Wow.
And that was the thing for me, because I love my kids. And so that's kind of where it happened. I started going to church after that. I met Jesus, got saved, and it kind of changed my life.
Okay.
But in the process, I didn't really realize that the whole salvation thing didn't mean that everything was over. I thought that because I wasn't raised in it, right?
Yeah.
And they don't tell you. Like the people that tell tell him thank you, and they give you the pretty side of it.
Right.
And so, even after being saved, I was still struggling with the sexual addiction or sexual behavior that was not right. And I kind of struggled with that. And I talked to my pastor at the time, and he told me that my issues were more than just on the surface; they were deeper than that. And there was things that I had kind of repressed and hadn't really thought about because I was just living life and enjoying myself.
Right.
And so he sent me to a therapist, and the therapist basically diagnosed me with sexual compulsive disorder, what we call sex addiction.
Okay.
And so out of that is where the book kind of originated from.
Okay, you said a lot.
That's a lot.
No, and that's good. I'm processing. So from 3 to 6, you're saying you were molested by a female?
That's correct.
All right, 6 to 16 by male?
That's correct.
Okay, when did you speak on it for the first time? Because that's a lot.
Nobody knew. Obviously my wives that I was married to, they kind of knew.
Okay.
But so we didn't really talk about it. But I told them what had happened. But it didn't really become a public issue until after the therapy and then after getting to a place of being healed.
Okay. Do you mind my asking parents involved as far as telling them? So something.
I didn't tell my mom until after I finished writing my book.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I was getting. So
Right.
you did have some repressed
Right.
things that were okay.
Yeah. And my mom was, obviously she was hurt because she felt like she didn't protect me, and there was nothing she could have done differently. But I think she was hurt too because it was somebody close to the family.
Right.
And so for many years, as we're coming up, we always tell our kids about stranger danger.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the statistics, most of sexual abuse or sexual mishandling comes from somebody close within.
Absolutely.
And so we have to start teaching our kids about that also.
Yeah, absolutely. No means no, and everybody,
Yeah.
sadly,
Right.
everybody.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot. Like I said, that's
Yeah.
heavy, but it's good. But it's needed. Like
Right.
I said, this is needed. So you decided to come. You're out with it, and you just decided to put it in a book. Opposed to going to therapy. And then just kind of putting it away silently.
Right.
You decided to use your pain to help other people.
Absolutely.
Why?
Well, I think because the scripture God gave me was vital. He says that we overcame by the blood of the Lamb. As Christians, the blood never fails.
That's
Like
right.
we know that. The issue is the word of our testimony. When you look in the Bible, almost every instance of healing comes from speaking. Jesus spoke. He told them, arise, whatever that was, it was speaking. So in that process, and it's I'm telling it quickly, but there's a process. It is in every situation there has to be a word spoken for there to be healing.
Yeah.
And so for me to be able to help people, then I would have to speak it, and it became spoken in a book. And so that's kind of how I came to that conversation.
Yeah, from the tongue flows life and death.
Right.
So if you can open your mouth and help somebody,
Right,
then
absolutely.
why not do it? I
Yeah.
get that, but most people who come in here and tell me that they grew up in church, they knew you. About what age was it that you found Christ?
I was 35, 36.
Wow.
Like I was way old.
That's not
Well,
Come on, wait, hold on.
yeah. Well, when you think about being 36 years in church, so
Yeah.
that's 36 years is a long time, right?
Yes,
And so I'm way behind the curve, and a lot of this Christianity thing I didn't understand, and so I struggled with that because I thought once I got saved and once I got baptized that I wasn't gonna have those issues anymore, and little did I know.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden now you're trying to do the positive, and,
Right.
and everything's gonna come.
Right. Yeah.
Tell me some challenges that you've had as you developed, as you decided to use your hurt for testimony and to help other people.
I think the biggest struggle was when I, after the sex addiction came out, and I talked to my wife about it at the time. We tried to stay married for a little while, but we ended up divorcing.
Okay.
And the biggest struggle for me was being at the place where my help was also my hindrance. I was in church,
Woo!
right? So when you think about it, and it's a couple things I'm gonna say, but the first thing I want to say is being freshly off a sexual addictive behavior, and you come into the church, all the women hug you, they greet you with a holy kiss, and some of it is just innocent, right?
Of course.
Some of it is innocent, some of it there's motive. But coming from where I came from, a hug and a kiss meant let's hook up.
Yeah.
So, a lot of that, I destroyed a lot of relationships even in the church because I wasn't completely delivered even though I had the salvation.
Wow.
And so the big, the struggle, and it's one of the questions that I ask in the book is, what do you do, because there's some reflection questions at the end, but what do you do when your place of help is also your place of hindrance?
Ooh, that's deep. We need to get this book.
Yeah, it's good.
What is the name of that?
That one is Overcoming the Addiction That No One Has. That's my first one.
Okay.
And then my second one, which I'll be releasing at the men's conference this week, is After the Violation, a comprehensive guide to healing after being sexually mishandled.
Mishandled.
Yeah.
Why'd you use that word, mishandled?
Well, I think because it encompasses a lot more, right? So some people have been molested, some people have been raped, some people have been sexually abused. And in essence, it's all mishandling sex. It's mishandled, or it's handled in the wrong way or improper way. And so that was the title God gave me, because I ain't a writer. Remember,
Right.
that's not my style, right?
But you sound like one.
Right.
You sound like, and you are one. But
Forgive me, I am a writer.
Yes, you
just
are.
with the inspiration of God.
Right. See, I like that. I like that much.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is that men are not expected to hurt? So when I saw, let me tell you where that question comes from. When I saw the title of your conference, Where Men Hurt, first of all, I grew up thinking my father didn't cry, that he couldn't cry, that
Right.
it wasn't possible for men to cry.
Right.
So why do you think it is that we have that idea?
The idea comes from our upbringing, right? So if, let's say if Susie falls and scrapes her knee, everybody picks her up and coddles and say, oh, Susie, 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 you're going to be okay. But if Johnny does the same thing, he's like, boy, get up. Don't be crying,
Wow.
And so we were taught that. We were taught to be tough. And in being tough, it meant that we had to deal with it ourselves. And so nobody, unless you had a broke leg or something, nobody wasn't picking you up, right? They was like, boy, get up. And so I think because, one, culturally, it's our mindset. It's what we were taught. And because that's what they were taught, that's what they taught. And so the struggle is getting out of miseducation.
Right.
And so that's the primary reason why men don't outcome with information.
Yeah, it's so true. And like even these days, we've advanced so far, you would think, but still sometimes that comes back. See it all the time. Get up. Like you just said, the example. Oh, get up, boy, you're tough.
Right.
I can't hurt, but she can hurt in the
Right.
same exact
Absolutely.
way. Wow. And so coming forward with this, though, have you faced any type of criticism from anyone?
There's criticism for everything when you're doing something positive. The thing with me is I'm at a place where I'm whole and I'm healed. So it don't matter what people think. It don't matter what people say, because I have a purpose that's bigger than my pain. And so, let them bring it.
So when you decided to go ahead and move forward with this, what were the steps? Who did you reach out to
As far as the
conference?
So the conference, God gave me the conference out of the, like I say, we meet at a barbershop every other Monday night in Humble. And the purpose of that was for men to be able to come into a place where it's safe, non-judgmental, where they can express real life issues.
Okay.
Because we don't really have that safe place. We may have it, but we don't know we have it. And so out of that meeting, those sessions each Monday, then came the conference. And so we wanted to talk about the 7 pillars. We want to talk about the things that men really hurt, areas they really hurt, but they don't talk about.
Okay.
Sexuality, spirituality, finance, business, relationships, physical and mental health. And so in the conference, we're going to address all those topics with some dynamic speakers. But then we're going to also have panelists, so that now I can come and ask those questions that maybe the speaker didn't touch.
Right.
Right.
Okay. All right. So you just spoke everything I was going to ask on here. Tell us about some of your speakers.
So for some of my speakers, Dr. Marcus Cosby, dynamic speaker, Pastor Ron Eagleton out of Crosby, Texas, Pastor Jerry Martin. I have a Dr. Cordell Wilkie, who's a physical doctor, and then I have a mental health clinical psychologist, Dr. Thompson, and then the uncle that I was telling you about, and that was a high-ranking official in the Army. He's going to be speaking on finance, and then I'll be speaking on the sexuality part.
Okay. Okay, it seems like everything's coming together though.
Everything's great.
Everything's in order.
Everything's where it should be.
Okay.
Except I can't get my men to register.
Well, tell them that.
Men, I need y'all to register. You know, we wait till the last minute, and I know some of that is cultural. I know some of that is just the man as a whole. We wait till the last minute. But I need the men to register so I can make account for what I need to do. But even if they don't register, they can pay at the door. And I mean, I just want to make sure that everybody's there to be able to glean from what God has for us.
Absolutely. And I think it's amazing. Like I said, you didn't grow up in the church, but you're doing something so powerful for the kingdom.
Right.
God can take anybody and turn them around.
Absolutely.
Because obviously, it kind of sounds like you were like really a woman's man.
Oh no, I was out there bad, like bad.
Like bad.
No, bad.
Bad. 3 bads.
Yeah, worse than that.
Okay, because you went through 2 marriages. So
Yeah, I went through 2 marriages, and you know, I did some really destructive things. I've stepped on a lot of toes, and I tore up a lot of relationships, and I hurt a lot of people. I just want to, while I can't go back and fix that, I want to be able to not only give people that are coming up the opportunity to not make those same decisions, but also to help people that have made those decisions to make sure that they get to a better place.
Okay. So do you have a lot of support in this, like your immediate circle?
Absolutely. So I got my wife that I'm married to now. We've been married about 6 years, and she's my biggest cheerleader, by far my biggest supporter. So she's got my back, even in my cuckoo-ness.
Cuckoo-ness?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she got my back, and then out of the Where Men Hurt sessions, I've built some really great relationships with some of those people that I never met before.
Okay.
And so a part of having that is that we build relationships, and there's nobody in the room that is going through something that somebody else in the room hadn't gone through.
Wow.
So when I talk about my issues or my struggles, then somebody else will say, "Wait, hey, this is what I did," or "This is how I did it," and so now I can connect with that brother when I'm struggling. And so I have my accountability partners there, and they, you know, that we're on one mind, but we hold each other accountable.
Okay.
So like I was telling somebody, I was struggling with something a couple of weeks ago, and I called my accountability partner, and I was like, "T, man, I'm struggling." And he said, "Okay, man, I'm gonna tell you what, we're gonna pray, but do this for me. Just promise me you won't do it today."
Okay.
So I was like, "All right, cool." The next morning he called me. He said, "Promise me you won't do it today." And he did that for 3 days in a row. And by that time, because with all temptation or whatever it is, it goes away. You know, God has made a way of escape, right? That was my way. And so he's like, "Just promise me today." And so that's what we're able to do because we're in a relationship.
Wow.
And so, you know, somebody else calling me, telling me not to do it may not have meant nothing, but because that's my brother, you know, and we care for each other's success, we hold each other accountable.
Hey, that is so good to have that type of network, that type of support. How would somebody listening get to be involved in your Monday night barber shop meeting?
All they got to do is show up.
Okay.
As every other Monday, I say link up with me on Facebook or Where Men Hurt. I post the weeks that we're there. So we'll be there this Monday night. It's at Master Barber headquarters right there in Humble, 1501 East Main Street in Humble. We meet from 7 to 9. I provide food for them so they got something to eat in case they're coming straight from work. And about 7:15, we kick it off. Everybody introduces themselves. I tell them my story. And so when I tell my story, it makes it somewhat easier to open up because now you feel that that it's a safe place, right? So if I can tell guys that I've been sexually molested by a male for 10 years and I'm okay, then it makes it, you know, what they dealing with may not be as bad. But we talk about real life stuff. I mean, we talk about domestic violence. We talk about lust. We talk about lack of love from a parent. I mean, just you'll be amazed at some of the things that men deal with that they can't go home and talk to their wives about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I struggle too because I don't talk to my wife about everything either, right? You know, so, and I think it is that we are able to build each other up first. And then as we are built up, then it gives us more confidence to know that we're not going to be judged if we bring it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is so good and so needed. I'm even contacted by men that are looking for support. Like they're like, okay, I have this situation, it was a child support something, things like that. And well, I don't know where to go. I don't know who other men that are going through this. But it sounds like you have a group, organization that helps deal with all those type of things.
There's no topic untouched, and there's no issue that anybody's going through that somebody in that room hasn't gone through.
Okay.
So, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we had a guy talking about he was dealing with some stuff with domestic violence,
Okay.
right? And so this guy over here was like, man, let me tell you what I did, or this is how I did. And so the freeness of being able to, express it also gives you the opportunity to be able to get the spoken word so that you can find a way to be healed.
Okay, so there you go, guys. There's your support. Guys who are reaching out to me, I can only help you so much, but to have a support system of men.
Absolutely.
I mean, here it is, right here in the Humble area. I mean, there it is, right there. Tell them again how to get a hold of you.
Where Men Hurt on Facebook. You just look me up, or Andrew J. Landry. Either way, I'll connect you. We meet on Monday. We'll meet this Monday coming up, and it's at Master Barber Headquarters, 1501 East Main Street in Humble, Texas, 7 o'clock. We'll be out by 9 o'clock.
All right. Well, tell them once again the things that they can expect to see or come forward at this men's conference, or what are you praying that it does at this men's conference?
My primary prayer is that men are open enough to come, right? So a lot of the struggle with men is if I have free tickets to the Texans game, or if I had tickets to the Rockets game, we'll jump on that. But we won't invest in something that's going to really, really help us, right? And so my goal is men to be open to come, and also be open to hear. So a lot of the struggle with us is that we know it all.
Come on, say that one more time. Ladies, y'all hear that?
One of the primary struggles with us is that we know it all.
Right.
And I'm the same. I mean, I don't really be wanting to hear what my wife got to say, right? I know I'm right.
Right.
I know I'm right. Why I gotta listen to her? But one of the things we talked about in the class is sometimes God uses our wives because they talking to God and we're not.
Ooh. Oh, that's so good.
Right. So my wife will say something, and I'll be like, whatever. And then I'll go to my therapist, and she'll say the exact same thing the exact same way, and now I can listen to her because it's not coming from a place of attachment or emotional connection from her, so I can hear it. But because my pride won't allow me to hear my wife, all I hear is that, she got some problem, or she whining, or she nagging, or whatever. But it's the exact same things. I just don't want to hear it. And so it's things like that we can learn to grow from if we're in the right settings.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. I pray much success on this conference.
Thank you.
It is needed. Y'all, the information will be posted on all of our Revamp Network's sites. Tell them just one more time how they can get tickets, please.
So you can register at wheremenhurt.org. Just click on, hit register. Also on Facebook, I have it on there, Where Men Hurt. The conference is Saturday, August the 3rd. It's going to be dynamic speakers, dynamic topics. We'll have food trucks, we'll have vendors, so you won't miss anything.
Before I let you go, you talked a little bit about you have a therapist. Why is it that you think, just last question, why is it that you think that mental health, people shy away from mental health, taking care of their mental health? Because I see you have a speaker that's going to speak on that.
Right. The primary thing is because it's what was taught, right? Culturally, what happens in this house stays in this house is what our grandparents taught us, right? Don't put my business out in the streets. And so now, because we're uneducated, that we need to get help outside. Everything can't be handled in the house.
Right.
So even like with me and my wife has a therapist, I have a therapist, and we see therapists together.
Okay.
And we got a fairly decent marriage, whatever that means. But it is being able to grow in areas where you're weak. So for me, like, I'm really, really bad at empathy, right? It's like, it's hard for me.
Man.
Because I have suppressed emotions from years ago, so I don't do well with empathy. So it's things that my therapist allows me to practice on so that I can be more empathetic. Because I want to be a better husband, I take the steps to do the things that it takes to be a better husband. And so if we would get out of our pride, then we could go and see that we ain't got it all together. None of us. Everybody dealing with something. None of us have it all together.
Yeah.
And it is that objective viewpoint of mental health therapists that will allow us, if we're open to it, to start seeing ourselves and recognizing we really don't have it all together.
Right.
And so I think my wife's a mental health therapist. She's a counselor also, right?
Okay.
So and I'm her biggest, I'm her biggest client because she get the most practice, right? She get the most practice on me, but it allows us to be able to go to be a better person. And if I can be a better husband, I can be a better father, I can be a better leader, I can be a better president or whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
So and then God can use me in the way that he needs to use me, not the way that I want to be used.
Amen. Amen. Y'all hear that? I know y'all are listening because I see y'all on here and I know you're listening. I want y'all to go out. Men, please seek help. I think this conference is going to be like everything. You have business, you're going to talk about business, you're going to talk about spirituality, relationships, and that's not just a relationship between a man and a woman. That's
Right.
a relationship between people.
General relationships. So
Okay.
yeah, we're not good fathers, we're not good husbands, we're not good stewards. It's about being in a better relationship.
Okay. Physical health. We have an actual doctor coming to talk about physical health. Now, I know we all fall short there.
Yeah. I'm one of the main ones. I'll be like, can't push back from the table.
You know? Okay. But it's important, though. It's
Absolutely.
important, our overall health. And we're talking about mental health. We just spoke on that. And finance.
Right.
So that's just getting your money in order.
Getting it right, taking the right steps, whether it's 401ks or credit repair, whatever it is to get yourself where you can be a good steward over the things that God has given us.
Okay, so he'll actually talk about 401ks and credit repair and all that.
Right.
Oh, this is good. Okay, guys, so men's conference, Where Men Hurt. It is time to open your mouth and admit that you are hurting. It is time to also acknowledge that it's okay to hurt and go get the healing that you need. It is time. And Mr. Andrew Landry is bringing together a conference that is, I have no doubt, it's going to be dynamic. So you want to get there. Once again, you can register at www.wheremenhurt.org. Also, you have an Instagram?
I do have Instagram, Where Men Hurt, or I have two. The author Andrew J. Landry is my primary one. I'm just starting the Where Men Hurt one, so I got a lot more followers on that one. But just link up with me.
Okay, just link up.
Just link up with me. Where Men Hurt. If I type in Where Men Hurt, and that's where I'm at.
Okay, so you already have one book. What is the name of that book? And how can they get it?
The first book is Overcoming the Addiction That No One Has. That book is on Amazon. You can, if you're local, I can meet you and bring you a copy. So, but that's Overcoming the Addiction That No One Has. Topically about sex addiction. Story is Hope and Redemption. The second book is After the Violation, a comprehensive guide to healing after being sexually mishandled, and that will be released this weekend at the conference.
Okay, so I know that you target men, but will the books be good for women as well?
The books are absolutely good for women. So the book originally the book was written for men,
Okay.
but then in my studies I recognized that women deal with the same issues, or that the issues that we have affect the women that we're connected to.
Okay.
And so anybody can read from it. In the addiction book, it talks about sex addiction. It's the journey, but it's about any addictive behavior, right? So
Okay.
because there are steps to be able to get past an addictive behavior. And so women are absolutely, and men don't really read a lot. So
Right.
sometimes it has to come, from a different source. So it's out there. It's ready.
All right. Well, blessings on your conference. Thank you so
Thank you very
much
much.
for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here. Continue the work that you are doing. We're going to take a short break, y'all. Thank y'all for rocking with us right here on Internal Rebound Talk Radio. The allnewblessedspeaks.com. Mr. Andrew J. Landry, founder and executive director of Where Men Hurt. Link up with him on all social media sites. All right. We'll be right back. Can you say something to my Facebook people? Just close out with them.
Thank y'all for tuning in today. I hope the things that were said will bless you. I also hope that if you have a man that is that you're connected to, please register him or have him register for the conference. And thank you for your support, and we appreciate you.
All right. Let's see. You're getting a lot of hearts right now. All right, thank y'all so much. I will be back to close out the show in just a little bit. I'm going to get my pictures with Mr. Landry. And y'all please go register if you have a son, if you have an uncle, if you have a brother, anybody you feel like that's hurting, that could benefit from any of this. And really, everybody can benefit from this. Like everyone, all males, register them. Give them a gift. Y'all, if they don't have the money or whatever, give them a gift and register them, okay? All right, y'all. All right. Stop. Quit laughing at me.